have waited long enough. This is Dude Already, the podcast that gets you out of your head and into your power. We talk mindset, neuroscience, and the no BS truth about what it really takes to change your life, starting now. Okay, I know this episode is going to be longer than the last one. However, it is the most important episode that you can listen to because we are diving into your nervous system and you cannot outthink your body. Every reaction you have, every fight, freeze, flare up, or even shutdown is not random. It is a biological memory. In the book, The Body Keeps Score, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk explains that trauma doesn't just live in your thoughts. It lives in your nervous system. The body is always tracking safety and danger, and it stores that information in muscle tension, posture, gut signals, and even the micro timing of your breath. So when you get triggered, your brain is not making a bad choice. It is reactivating a survival pattern that once kept you safe. And I am not just pulling this out of thin air because obviously neuroscience backs this up. Studies out of Harvard, Stanford, and of course my favorite podcast, Huberman Lab, show that before you ever have a conscious thought, your limbic system, especially your amygdala, has already scanned the environment and sent instructions to your body. Speed up their heart, tighten their jaw, or flood their body with adrenaline. Dr. Huberman actually calls this the state story loop, which means your physiology drives your perception before your mind can narrate it. So you do not react to reality. You react to what your body predicts reality will be based on past data. Dr. Robert Sapolsky at Stanford calls it the inherited logic of survival, which means your nervous system evolved to keep you alive, not to keep you calm. So it interprets almost everything through one lens and one lens only. Am I safe or am I in danger? So that means every conversation, every relationship, every decision you make is filtered through your body's sense of safety, your body's. And when your body is regulated, when your breath is steady, when your vagus nerve is engaged, your cortisol levels are balanced, and cortisol equals stress, you experience life through the lens of safety. You can actually hear people. You notice tone, nuance, intention, and you respond instead of reacting. But when your body is dysregulated, your heart might be racing, your chest might be tight, or you might even be breathing shallow. Your brain literally goes offline. It goes offline in all the places that make you human. The prefrontal cortex, that part of your brain that handles empathy and reason, gets hijacked by survival coding. And suddenly, a neutral expression might feel like rejection. Constructive feedback can feel like an attack. And even love might start to feel like a risk. So that's why so many of our relationship patterns have nothing to do with willpower or personality. They are nervous system responses in disguise. And I want you to think about this, okay? I want you to think about when someone doesn't text you back. Your prefrontal cortex, remember that part of your brain that handles empathy and reasoning, might say, oh, they're just busy. But if your body learned that silence meant danger, your amygdala will hijack that thought before it even forms. Your heart might drop. Your mind might race. You might spiral, and you're not crazy for that. Your body's just remembering. Dr. van der Kolk says the body remembers what the mind forgets. And Dr. Huberman adds, your nervous system is not designed to make you happy. It's designed to keep you alive. So when we talk about healing, regulating, or changing our mindset, we have to start here with the biology that's running the show. Because your body is not betraying you, it's protecting you with outdated data. And the goal is not to fight it, it's to update the data. That is the work. Teaching your body that danger is over so your mind can finally believe it too. So let's jump into what the nervous system actually is. And let's talk about what's running the show here. So essentially, your nervous system is the electrical grid of your body. Okay? It is a living network of signals that connects your brain, spine, and organs. It's the system that keeps score, keeps watch, and obviously keeps you alive. Its number one job is survival. And that is it. Not joy, not growth, not expansion, just survival. So let's talk about your nervous system's main two branches. And I want you to think about your nervous system like a car. So you have branch 1, which is your sympathetic system. This is the system that hits the gas. It's the surge that gets you ready to move, to protect, to react. This is what fuels your instinct to fight, to run, to please, or to shut down. The other branch is your parasympathetic system. This is the system that taps the brakes. It's the one that says, hey, you're safe, you can rest, you can connect again. When your system is healthy, it knows how to dance between both. That is what regulation really is. It's just flexibility. It's the ability to move through intensity and come back home to calm. But here's where it gets real. Your nervous system only knows what it's been taught. So if you grew up in chaos, neglect, or inconsistency, your body didn't learn safety. It learned survival. Stillness might have started to mean danger. Quiet might have felt like the moment before something went wrong. So even now, as an adult, your body stays on high alert. Whether that be that you have anxiety or a lot of tension or thoughts in your brain that won't stop looping or ruminating. Why? Because when your nervous system never knew peace, calm doesn't feel safe. It feels a little suspicious. And the mind always follows the body. Your nervous system does not just affect your identity. It creates the conditions for it. You cannot embody a new self with an old survival state. That is why people stay in the job that they hate, the relationship that drains them, or the patterns that hurt them, because the body equates familiar with safe. It does not crave joy, it craves predictability. And predictability might keep you alive, but it also keeps you small. So to really understand how your wiring shows up, you have to look at what happens when your nervous system senses a threat. Whether that threat is a raised voice, rejection, silence, or even uncertainty. And most people know the big three, which is fight, flight, or freeze. But these are not personality types. They are survival codes, automatic biological reactions designed to keep you alive. And I'm going to break them down. The first is fight. And this is your body's way of saying, I have power here. Your system mobilizes, your jaw tightens, adrenaline floods your veins, your tone sharpens. You move towards the threat, whether that be trying to control it, fix it, or even argue with it, because dominance feels safer than helplessness. The next is flight, and this is escape energy. It is the same adrenaline, just a different direction. You can't control it, so you outrun it through busyness, overthinking, perfectionism, staying quote-unquote productive. Movement feels safer than stillness. And the next is freeze. And this is your full body pause. This is when your system floods with so much stress, it literally hits the brakes. You go numb, disconnected, or you detach, not because you don't care, but because your body has decided it's the only way to survive what it can't fight or flee. Your body literally has to conserve energy in order to survive overwhelm. Now, beyond the big three that everyone knows, the fight, flight, or freeze that I just spoke about, there are a few quieter ones, and they are a bit more complex survival responses that also deserve attention. And these do not always look dramatic. Sometimes they look like coping, and sometimes they even look like kindness. The first is what's often called attach or appease, or this is what most people now refer to as fawning, FAWNING. This is not just people pleasing, it is the instinct to secure safety through connection. Your nervous system has learned that harmony equals survival and that the quickest way to avoid pain is to make peace. So instead of fighting back, you smooth things over. You anticipate other people's moods before they even say a word. You shrink, you soften, you over explain, you apologize for simply existing. Not because you lack confidence, but because your body believes that staying likable will keep you safe. Biologically, this is still a mobilized state. Your sympathetic system is still active, but your energy is directed towards soothing, not fleeing or fighting. And it's an incredibly adaptive skill that often develops in children who had to earn love by keeping the peace. The next one is submit or collapse. This is actually a deeper version of the freeze response and what Dr. Peter Levine calls tonic immobility. This shows up when your body decides there is no escape. When every attempt to run, reason, or please has failed, the system shuts everything down to preserve energy. And you might recognize this as feeling foggy, detached, or numb, and it is like watching life through a window instead of living it. Your heart rate drops, your breathing slows, you might even lose track of time. It's your body's way of saying, if I can't stop it, I'll disappear from it. And this is truly the most misunderstood response because on the outside, it looks calm. Okay, it looks calm, but inside, it is a full body surrender. It is protection. It is not peace. And then there's tend to me friend. And this one is super interesting. And this was actually first coined by psychologist Shelley Taylor at UCLA. This is often seen as a social safety response, and it's more common among women because of evolutionary and hormonal influences, but it still exists in everyone. So instead of fighting or fleeing, your body actually seeks safety through connection and care. You might text a friend, you might hug your child, you build alliances, you protect others to feel protected yourself. It's the instinct that says, if I can gather my people, we'll survive this together. Physiologically, it is driven by a blend of oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone, and the parasympathetic activation. So your body counteracts fear by leaning into love. And that is why in moments of crisis, some people actually shift into nurturing mode, whether they're comforting, organizing, or helping, because their nervous system uses care as a survival tool. And here's the truth. None of these are flaws. They are brilliant adaptive survival strategies, but they are not meant to be permanent states. Fight protected you when no one else did. Flight helped you escape what you couldn't change. Freeze saved you when you were too young to fight or run, and fawn kept you connected to people you thought you couldn't afford to lose. But the problem is when the body keeps using survival responses in safe environments, life starts to feel like a battlefield, even when it's not. That's why you can crave peace and simultaneously sabotage it. It's not because you're broken. It's because your nervous system is addicted to the chemistry of threat. So the real work isn't forcing yourself to, quote unquote, be calm. It's teaching your body that safety can exist without chaos. It's helping your nervous system relearn that it's allowed to rest. So I want to talk really quickly about what these responses actually feel like, because it's one thing to understand them, but it's another to realize how they're actually running your everyday life. So let's start with fight. And this feels hot. It's sharp, tense, loud. You feel that rush in your chest. Your jaw tightens. Your pulse quickens. Everything in you is gearing up to do something. You might argue, defend, interrupt, or control. You might raise your voice. Maybe you just silently grit your teeth and think, I have to fix this. It's not about anger. It's about protection. Your body is trying to create safety by taking charge. Flight, on the other hand, feels fast. Restless legs, racing thoughts, that energy of like, go, go, go. You feel every silence, every minute, every inbox. You run from emotions by staying busy, overworking, overthinking, overanalyzing. You might say, I just can't slow down. But what you really mean is if I have to stop, I'll have to feel it. Freeze, this feels heavy. It's the fog, the numbness, the blank mind. It's the laying in bed, doom scrolling for hours, knowing what you should do, but feeling like you physically can't move. Your body's energy drops, your breath flattens, your awareness narrows. It's not laziness, it's self preservation. Your body is conserving energy because it thinks you're under siege. And then fawn feels like smiling when your chest aches. It's like saying, oh, it's fine when it's not. You scan the room for other people's emotions. You mirror, you appease, you smooth everything over before conflict can touch you. You tell yourself that you're being kind, but deep down it's fear disguised as love. Love is a survival skill. Appease, this feels anticipatory. You sense tension before it even starts. You can feel a shift in tone, a look, a sigh, and your nervous system is already bracing. You adjust your behavior to prevent the storm, even when there's no storm coming. Submit or collapse feels like the lights are dimming. It is a surrender that's so deep that you disappear from yourself. You might be sitting in on a conversation, nodding, but you are not there. You're floating, detached, and the world is muffled like you are underwater. This is the body's emergency brake, the last defense when all others have failed. It's saying, if I can't fight this or fix this, I'll just go away until it's over. And then lastly, there's tend and befriend. This one feels soft but purposeful. You reach out, you organize, you nurture, you become the caretaker or the problem solver. It can look healthy, and sometimes it is. But sometimes it's also another form of protection. If I can help everyone else, maybe I'll stay safe too. And every single one of these has a body signature. They live in your breath, your heart rate, the tone of your voice. And this is why awareness matters, because once you can name your state, you can begin to regulate it. So I want you to take a breath and think about your own patterns. When you feel unsafe or unseen, do you explode, outrun, disappear, overgive, or overcare? That's your nervous system talking. It's not trying to ruin your life, it's trying to protect you with an outdated map. And obviously, this wouldn't be Do It Already if we weren't going to talk about some good news here. Because the good news is you can redraw it. You can teach your body a new language, one that speaks safety, not survival. Because when your body believes you're safe, your mind finally gets permission to grow. So let's talk about how the state of your nervous system actually shows up in your everyday life. Because nervous system patterns don't just live in textbooks. They live in your relationships, your reactions, your routines. Every interaction you have is your nervous system meeting someone else's. Two bodies, two sets of wiring, both scanning for the same thing. Am I safe with you? And the way that your body answers that question is through your attachment style. Because your attachment style isn't just psychology, it is biology. It is your nervous system's blueprint for how to love, how to connect, and how to protect. From birth, your body learned to regulate through the people who cared for you. A baby's heart rate, breathing, and stress hormones literally sync to their caregiver's tone, gaze, and touch. And when that care is consistent, soothing, and attuned, your body learns, okay, closeness is safe. But when it's unpredictable, neglectful, or overwhelming, your body learns closeness equals risk. That's where the wiring happens. And that wiring, the state of your nervous system, becomes the foundation for your attachment style. It is not a personality type. It is a survival code, the blueprint for how you show up in love, how you protect yourself, and how you reach for others when things get hard. And there are four main attachment styles, each one with a different nervous system strategy for safety and connection. And I'm going to walk through them not as labels, but as felt experiences. So you have the gold standard, which is a secure attachment style. Secure feels steady. Your body trusts connection. You can be close without losing yourself, alone without falling apart. You don't panic when someone needs space or silence. You assume the best. You believe that love doesn't disappear overnight because your body has proof that it doesn't. Yes, conflict can feel uncomfortable, but it's not catastrophic. You expect repair, not abandonment. This is what it feels like when your nervous system knows how to come back to calm. And then there's the avoidant attachment style. This is a deactivated nervous system. You want love, but too much closeness feels like losing oxygen. When things get emotional, your chest tightens, your mind shuts down, you pull away, not because you don't care, but because you cannot breathe in intensity. You regulate by creating distance through silence, work, logic, distraction, and you tell yourself that you need space to think, but what you really need is space to let your nervous system settle. Peace to someone who is an avoidant often means isolation because that's the only place their body remembers feeling safe. Because here's the thing, an avoidant is not avoiding love, they're avoiding vulnerability. Because somewhere along the way, vulnerability became unsafe to them. And oftentimes they grew up having to handle things alone, or when they expressed their emotions, they got rejected or shamed. So now their nervous system equates self reliance with safety. They don't mean to seem detached. It's just that connection feels like exposure, and exposure feels like a risk. And that's not emotional unavailability. That's just their body's way of protecting themselves from being engulfed. We then have the disorganized attachment style, and this is a push pull nervous system. This candidly feels like chaos. It's wanting love, but also running away from it at the same time. So they crave closeness, but fear what it might cost them. And so when someone gets too close, their fight or flight kicks in. When they pull away, their panic follows. Their body is constantly caught between the accelerator and the brake. And so love can feel like whiplash. One minute they are begging for that person to stay, and the next they are building walls so high that that person couldn't reach them if they tried. And this isn't, again, drama, it's dysregulation. So the same person who once made you feel safe also made you feel scared. And so now, every time you feel intimacy, your body prepares for both outcomes, connection and pain. And then we have the anxious attachment style. And this is a hyperactivated nervous system. The anxious attachment style feels like living with a silent alarm inside of your body. You crave closeness, not because you're dramatic or desperate, but because your nervous system equates connection with safety. When someone pulls away, your chest tightens, your breath shortens, your mind starts looping. What did I do? Did something change? What happened? You reach, you chase, you fix. You replay every text, every look, every tone, searching for reassurance. But here's the thing about the anxious attachment style, it does not actually matter who that connection is with. It's not about the person, it's about the regulation. Their body is wired to calm itself through proximity. When they feel close, their system relaxes. When they feel distance, it panics. So they cling to whatever gives them that hit of closeness, even if it's inconsistent, even if it hurts, because painful connection feels safer than none at all. They sometimes label it love, but in reality, their nervous system calls it survival. That's why oftentimes those with an anxious attachment style get hooked on people who aren't right for them because their body isn't chasing compatibility, it's chasing relief. And none of these are good or bad. They're just all strategies your nervous system learned to keep you safe. But here's where it gets messy because these styles don't exist in isolation. Because you have to remember that relationships are nervous systems interacting, and some combinations can create harmony while others ignite chaos. Okay, so let's start with the secure pairing. Obviously, this one's steady. Both partners regulate through trust, disagreements are repairable, space does not equal danger. And then we have the secure anxious pairing, which can be healing because the secure partner's calm system helps the anxious ones feel safe enough to relax. And then we can have a secure avoidant pairing, which can also balance because the secure partner respects space without making it mean rejection. However, the pairing that we most often see and the one that is proven to create the most chaos is the anxious avoidant dynamic. And this is not opinion, this is backed by research. And studies consistently show that individuals who are high in an anxious attachment style and those high in an avoidant attachment style report the lowest relationship satisfaction overall. The lowest. A major meta analysis found that an anxious attachment style and an avoidant attachment style pairing were detrimental to emotional, cognitive, and behavioral aspects in romantic relationships. So, in other words, when either person's nervous system runs on fear, whether it's fear of being left or fear of being consumed, the relationship becomes a stress loop instead of a safe haven. Other studies have even found that this particular combination, an anxious partner with an avoidant one, shows up at higher than average rates, especially in heterosexual relationships, because men are more likely to lean avoidant and women are more likely to lean anxious. So these two nervous systems find each other often, and when they do, it is a perfect storm because the anxious system seeks closeness to calm the panic, the avoidant seeks space to calm the overwhelm, and each one's coping mechanism triggers the other's alarm. The anxious one chases harder. The avoidant shutdowns faster. The avoidant withdraws more. The anxious panics deeper. Two bodies locked in survival, each convinced that the other is a threat. It is not just unhealthy, it is biochemically toxic because the cycle floods both bodies with cortisol, dopamine, and adrenaline, the same chemical cocktail that drives addiction. That is why the highs feel euphoric and the lows feel unbearable. It is not passion, it's the nervous system mistaking chaos for love. And it's not chemistry, it's chemistry gone wrong. And this is what it looks like in real life. Love that feels like a battlefield, peace that feels like boredom, and safety that always feels like just one apology away. So if all of this lives in the nervous system, how do we change it? How do we truly regulate? And I'm not talking about it just being a buzzword. I am talking about truly doing the work. Why? Because when your nervous system is dysregulated, logic doesn't work. And when your nervous system has gone off the rails, you are not reaching for a journal and lavender oil. You're shaking, you're pacing, you're replaying the same sentence in your head over and over. You're either ready to fight, run, beg, or vanish. And regulation in these moments is not about thinking, it's about discharging. Because when your nervous system is lit up, the goal isn't peace, it's release. You have to get that energy out of your body. So when you're in activation mode, fight or flight, aka you're anxious, angry, panicking, you want to flee or fight, your body is flooded with adrenaline and cortisol. Your body thinks it's in danger. So you have to prove to it that you survived. And here's what actually helps. You got to move, walk, run, shake your arms until they tingle, bounce your toes. Movement literally metabolizes stress hormones. And then we have cold exposure. Splash ice water on your face. Run your wrists under cold water. Step outside. The temperature shock activates your vagus nerve. It is essentially a full body reset button. Okay? You can also try pattern breathing. Try what's called a physiological sigh. 2 short inhales, 1 long exhale. It is the fastest way to drop your heart rate. And then you can shake it off literally. Shake it off. Animals do it after trauma. Humans forget to. Shaking releases stored energy your body's been holding hostage. You can walk it out too. You can go for a walk, literally. Why? Because whenever you walk, you are getting what's called EMDR. Your eyes are moving rhythmically side to side. And EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It is a trauma processing technique that helps your brain refile painful memories instead of reliving them. When you're doing actual EMDR therapy, you follow side-to-side movement, whether that be with your eyes, sounds, or taps while recalling something that's distressing. That left-to-right rhythm connects both hemispheres of your brain, letting your nervous system reprocess what used to feel like danger. So when you're walking, swinging your arms, or even pacing, that rhythmic bilateral motion helps your body do the same thing. Process, integrate, and release. It's not woo woo, it's neuroscience. But the most important thing is don't force calm. You gotta burn off the charge. You have to let your body finish the stress cycle so your mind can come back online. Okay, when you're frozen or numb, aka you're in kind of collapse mode, first you need to recognize that freezing or detaching isn't peace, it is paralysis. You're not fine, you're disconnected. So here's what helps you thaw. You have to start small when you're in one of these states. Wiggle your toes, roll your neck, stretch your fingers. Micro movement reactivates the parts of your brain that went offline. The next is changing your environment. Open a window, step outside, get light on your face. Nature is the original regulator. Also, you can anchor and touch, whether that be grabbing a blanket, petting your dog, holding ice in your hand, pressing your hand against your heart. Sensory input brings you back into your body. And then breath work, but gently. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth like you're fogging a glass. Don't force deep breaths because that can backfire when you're frozen. The goal is not to snap out of it, it's to slowly remind your body that it's safe enough to come back online. And then whenever you're fawning again looks polite, but it feels like panic. You say it's fine when it's not. You read the room instead of your own body. And to regulate here, you got to step away. Literally, excuse yourself, go to the bathroom, walk outside, remove yourself from the stimulus so your body can recalibrate. The next one, cold water. Again, this is a nervous system interrupt. Run it on your wrists, neck, or your face. Shake or tap your hands. This breaks the freeze response that actually sits under people pleasing. Breathe in your belly. Place a hand there and remind yourself, I am safe, even if they're upset. And then lastly, you can create a micro boundary. Try, can I think about that? Or, no, I need a second. Every time you do, you teach your body that safety does not require self-abandonment. I need you to know that regulation doesn't mean that you're unbothered. It means that you get to decide what happens next. Because when you're regulated, your prefrontal cortex, that part that handles logic, empathy, and connection, comes back online. You can speak instead of screaming. You can listen instead of assuming. And you can walk away instead of collapsing. It's not that the triggers disappear. It's just that they stop running your life. Okay, so everything I just talked to you about, the breath work, the shaking, the cold water, the movement, those are your in-the-moment resets. They're what you do when your body is already in that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn state. But here's the thing. You can actually get ahead of it. You can regulate your nervous system before you spiral. When you make regulation part of your daily life, you stop constantly having to recover from dysregulation. You stop firefighting every emotion. You stop chasing calm after chaos. You build a baseline of safety, one that your body can come home to on its own. And that's what this part is about. These are non-negotiables, things that you do every freaking day to keep your system from running your life. Because regulation is not a mindset, it is maintenance. And so here's a realistic reset in actual practice. And this is what I do. I walk daily, not for steps, but for sanity. Again, walking is bilateral movement. It is EMDR in motion. That left-right rhythm tells your brain, we're processing this. It literally moves stuck emotions through your body. Again, cold exposure, whether that be taking a cold shower once a week, doing a cold plunge, splashing your face daily, that temperature shock hits your vagus nerve, which is your body's reset switch, and it tells your system that the threat is over. Instant calm, real science. Shake your body. 2 minutes. No music, no pretending it's a dance break, just shake. Animals do it after danger because it works. You discharge adrenaline instead of storing it as anxiety. Breath work, and this is what I do at least 2 to 3 times a day. Before you check your phone, before you text back, before you walk into that meeting, pause and breathe. You can do the physiological sigh, which is the 2 short inhales through your nose, 1 long exhale through your mouth. It drops your heart rate instantly. I personally do breathing with Sandy on YouTube. You can find what works for you, but That is my go-to every morning before I get out of bed, every night before I go to sleep, and sometimes in the middle of the day. All right, next one. Get sunlight early, within an hour of waking because it resets your circadian rhythm. It balances your cortisol, it boosts serotonin, and it gives your body a clear, we're safe and awake signal. You can also move before you think. When you feel that wave of anxiety, move first, process later. Walking, stretching, pacing, movement metabolizes emotion before your mind spirals. And the last one, but the most important one, remove yourself from the chaos. Sometimes regulation is not breathing it out. It's leaving the room, the environment, the relationship, or the dynamic. You don't have to prove your strength by staying in situations that dysregulate you. Walking away is nervous system self respect. So do these things daily, not because you're broken, but because you're building a new baseline. Because here's the truth: you cannot live your best life in a state of chaos. You cannot expand when your body thinks it's in danger. You cannot create, connect, or lead from fight or flight. Your brain literally can't access higher thinking, creativity, empathy, intuition when it is drowning in cortisol. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that helps you dream, plan, and create, goes offline when you're stressed. You don't create or build greatness from survival. You maintain chaos. This is why daily resets matter. Because every time you walk, breathe, shake, or step away, you're teaching your body that safety is your new normal. And you're reprogramming it to trust stillness instead of panic. And once your body believes it's safe, your mind opens. Your creativity comes back online. Your relationships stabilize. And your goals finally start moving. That's regulation. Not calm, but capacity. So here's what I want you to remember. You can't think your way into peace. You have to train your body to trust it because your nervous system runs everything: how you love, how you parent, how you work, how you show up in life. And if your body doesn't feel safe, nothing you may be doing in life to better yourself will ever land because you'll keep looping back to survival. That's why this work matters. The walking, the breath work, the shaking, the stillness, or leaving people, places, or environments that dysregulate you. Because every time you do it, you're showing your body that peace isn't the enemy anymore. You're teaching your system that calm doesn't mean collapse, and that love doesn't mean danger, that safety isn't a luxury. It's your new baseline. Because once your body knows safety, your life stops being about survival. You stop chasing regulation through other people and start generating it from within. You stop mistaking chaos for passion. You stop confusing intensity for intimacy. You start leading from a grounded place, not because life got easier, but because you got steadier. Peace stops being a visit and it becomes your home. So start there. Train your body, teach it safety, and then go live the life that your regulated self would choose. You already know what to do, so go do it already. All right, if you love this episode, follow Do It Already wherever you listen. Drop a quick review and a rating, and share it with somebody that you think might find it helpful. And if you want more daily mindset resets, behind the scenes, or just a kick in the ass when you need it, come hang with me on TikTok and Instagram at Do It Already Podcast.